like anybody has really put any standard out there. So that's where we are today. Keep your eyes open for some sort of notification on where I'm going to post that. I'll talk to Nathan and see where the best place to put it up is, and we'll just start to collaborate on that list.
Awesome, thanks, Chris. And just to sort of add that, and I think Drew is on the call, and I want to pass off to Drew to learn a little bit more from his perspective, working for Accella, which I just recently learned about, which is a sort of inspection software. He'll do a better job of explaining than I will, but essentially coming from the jurisdiction and the inspector side, and knowing that with PDFs, with this digital sharing, so much of this is how do we get through city permits and a lot of those signatures, and it seems like there's challenges on the other side of this as well, not just on the AEC side. So I want to make sure we gave some time and had Drew present a little bit of his perspective. What is Accella? Where does it fit into some of the workflows that we may interact with, and what can we learn as a CP coalition to interact with some of the things that they're doing and drive better digital integration. So with that, Drew, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. Yep. And
okay,
did you?
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, you should be able to. And Brown, I know you're host now, so see if you're able to.
It says cannot start Nathan. Well, another participant is sharing, so I think.
Oh, yeah. So, Brianna, just unshare yours.
Hey, Nathan, this is Cody. Can you hear me?
Hey, Cody, go ahead.
I wanted to add to what Chris was talking about as well with the data fields. With what Dean Demko is working on, that Revit plugin, at least for workflow from Revit. Into the database. Do you recall the name of his software? I can't remember it right now, the plugin.
It's Paramnesia, and he was actually on our call, I think, last week or the week before. So just a quick update, and we'll get to Drew. But next week, we're going to have Ivan from Autodesk talking about just some more standard Revit workflows and best practices. And then I think, a follow-up to that, maybe the following week, it would be great to get a quick demo from Dean, because I do agree that what he's trying to do with Paramnesia is essentially the same way Bluebeam enables engineers to take advantage of what data is there. It's like I see Dean's tool as a way to do similar things in Revit, to auto rename, auto change things, and check the data structure. So good point. And with that, go ahead.
Exactly. No, okay. You got it, man.
Perfect. We'll pass on to Drew if you're ready. Were you able to share your screen? Okay.
Actually, I'm controlling Brianna's screen. What it's
Hold on, let me get in there.
Yeah.
I'm amazed how much of this I'm able to do just from my phone. Let's see. How do I change this?
Yeah, it's still saying another participant is sharing.
Arnold. Brianna, are you there or able to? Okay, trying to unshare.
Oh, wait. There we go. I'm good.
All right.
I got it. Okay.
All right, take it away, Drew.
Okay, give me just a second. And yeah, and Nathan, sub 20 minutes, right?
Oh, whatever time is now. I definitely want to make sure that we have time for everyone to be introduced and we finish within the hour. Sure. So we'll just be cognizant of time, but take feel like you need.
I absolutely. I'd rather get it done a little before that. So first of all, thank you so much for having me on. Again, my name is Drew Arnold. I'm with Accella. I'm in business development with Accella. And the way actually I got introduced to Nathan is through a partner of ours who is also on the call, Michael Martin with ePermit Hub. You'll hear me talk a little bit about them, but just wanted to give a brief overview of Accella. Nathan, oops, has somebody got somebody's got music playing there. Everybody hear me okay?
No, it's coming in and out because of the music.
Yeah, I can see people dancing.
Yeah. It looked like, Lon Smith. Coming at him.
Music is so soothing, though.
It is. It's nice. Right?
Brianna, if you look at the participants, you should be able to see who it is and try and mute them.
Okay, what do I'm looking for. Let's see.
We're all supposed to be savvy enough with this so we don't have to create rules.
That's right.
We have to create some rules around this.
I think we're good. Okay, great. All right. So at any rate, I was saying the way I got introduced to Nathan and the CPC was through Michael Martin with ePermit Hub, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them. He's on the call too, and maybe at a later time we can dig a little deeper into ePermit Hub. But at any rate, yeah, I'm in the government technology space. So on otherwise what maybe is called the AHJ, or authorities having jurisdiction, or agencies or permitting agencies, or everything that means regulatory. I work for Accella, and Accella is the largest provider of regulatory automation software for the municipal space and county space. And when I say regulatory software, can everybody see my screen? Okay. Yes. Okay. I'll assume. Yeah. Okay. Cool. There's a few things we do, but really the scope of what we do that's I think maybe relevant to what CPC is doing is right here in land management. And land management is, from an AHJ perspective, is really managing the life cycle of a piece of dirt from a regulatory perspective, from cradle to cradle. So right in the initial entitlement permitting that's done on the way through to projects defined and plan review, and then additional permitting, inspections, all the way through to certificate of occupancy. And then as that piece of land and whatever building that was built on it evolves over time, maybe it's remodeled, or maybe there's variance, or it's converted from a residential to a commercial, or whatever the case may be. And then the process kind of starts all over, which is why I say cradle to cradle. And this is what government, in particular local and also county governments, spend a lot of time doing is managing land. So when I say land management, it's very much what the AEC world is dealing with from a process perspective when you're engaging with government or AHJs. And just at a high level, there's we provide it's one solution, one software system: planning, permitting, inspections, code enforcement. Everything from the initial online application to electronic plan review. And let me actually comment. We look at plan review kind of in two parts, if you will. There's the workflow associated with plan review. What plan reviewers on the government side need to do what and when, given whatever the project in question is. And then there's the markup side of plan review, right? From a markup perspective, we for the most part really partner. We actually are close to releasing an adapter for Bluebeam. So for those agencies using Bluebeam for plan review, it'll be integrated with our solution from a workflow perspective. And there's some other plan markup tools that we'll integrate with also. So that's kind of the intersection with CPC is around plan review. So PDFs obviously are a big deal. Before I get into a little more kind of our footprint within our niche, we like something of the 800-pound gorilla. About 60% of the top 50 largest cities, 30 of them now, are using our software for permitting. That ranges from New York City. We just got selected in LA. Indianapolis, San Antonio, cities all around the country. Many of them very big, and some of them kind of mid-sized. We have over 2,200 clients. So this is really our niche, is permitting software, if you will, all the way through the process to certificate of occupancy. So I don't want to spend too much time on the company. Let me maybe talk about how something that I think would be interesting to the group here. We see agencies moving increasingly to electronic plan submission and review. It's really been done in fits and starts in a big way. And some agencies are going all in, as I'm sure a lot of folks here maybe have some experience with, but many are still paper. But even those that are trying to move towards electronic are struggling, and I think really this kind of goes on both sides of the regulatory coin, both the AEC side and the AHJ side, struggling with true electronic plan review. And there's great solutions out there, like obviously Bluebeam and then ours from a workflow perspective. But one thing that we're seeing increasingly in terms of RFPs from agencies is an interest in supporting digital sealing of the plans, because that's kind of been a challenge for a while now. And this is where I do want to do a little plug for ePermit Hub, who as I mentioned, is how I got connected. We're actually working and releasing it later this year. Is a digital sealing solution that allows a project coordinator, project manager to upload plans, and at the time that they're uploading the plans to the agency, digitally seal those with a slick app that allows you to do that second form of authentication with your thumbprint. And Nathan, if y'all are good, it's 5 minutes. I thought maybe I'd run that, because it's what we're seeing is how you move from wet seals to digital seals is a big challenge. And I thought maybe it might be good just to kind of show this. Does that sound okay for the group? Okay, I guess that everybody's on mute. So I'll go ahead and show it. And what I'm showing is right now we're still in prototype, and it doesn't, we know there's some things missing, but I could give you all kind of an idea of what we're working on in terms of trying to streamline the plan review or plan submission process. Oops. Actually, I'm going to start this and see if y'all can hear this. Let me know if y'all can't hear this, if somebody could just pipe up.
Digital signatures powered by the Accella Civic Platform and ePermit Hub. In this presentation, we'll show attaching digital documents through the Accella Citizen Access Portal, and then digitally signing those using ePermit Hub's digital signature app on an.
Hey, before I move too much further, are people hearing the voice on that?
Yep, I can hear it.
Okay,
yeah, we're hearing it fine.
Okay, great, thanks.
Android, iOS, or Windows mobile device. This digital signature will in fact utilize a trusted digital certificate from service providers such as VeriSign and IdenTrust. So let's get the presentation started. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the Accella Citizen Access web portal. I've preceded a permit application to the point where digital documents are requested. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see my Android device. As mentioned a moment ago, the ePermit Hub app is supported on iOS, Android, and Windows mobile devices. At this stage in the application, I'm ready to upload my digital plan files. I'll go ahead and click Add, and select the digital files from my computer. Once those files have successfully uploaded, I'll click Continue, and I will classify them accordingly. I'll click Save, and I'll get a confirmation that those files have successfully attached. Notice that the signature icon is a red exclamation point indicating that the documents have not yet been digitally signed. If I view the document information, I can see that a digital seal has not been received for this particular application from a certified design professional. I'll be able to sign those files once I've submitted the application. We'll continue on, review everything I've provided, pay all applicable fees, and view my permit. From the permit information screen, I can come to attachments, where I'm given an option to request a digital signature. The Accella Citizen Access Portal will confirm which of the files that I've uploaded that I'm interested in digitally signing. Here I can see building plans, v1.pdf, and I'll click OK. Before doing that, on the right-hand side, inside my Android device, I'll click on the ePermit Hub app. I'll have that app open so that you're able to see the push notification that comes directly to the mobile device. A new alert has been received, and I can see immediately the plans that are required to be signed, the date and the timestamp, as well as the permit number. Also notice here, back in the Accella Citizen Access Portal, that the red exclamation point has now changed to blue, and indicates the signature has been requested. And a notice has been applied to the top of my permit, indicating that I can check my mobile device to see the digital signature request. Clicking into the document information will indicate that a seal has been requested by the design professional.
I am, yes.
Over to the mobile application.
I leave Wednesday morning for Denver.
I will confirm that is the building plan set that I want to sign. I will click the sign button in the bottom, at which point the app is going to request that I use the digital signature pad to sign this particular file. I'll click OK, and I will scan my fingerprint using the fingerprint scanner built into this Android device. If you're using a device that does not support fingerprint scanning, the application will request a unique PIN that has to be entered each time a file is digitally requested. Back over here in the Accella Citizen Access portal, you can now see that the signature icon has changed to a green checkbox, indicating that we have received a valid digital signature. I can again click into the document information, and I can see the seal, including the user ID, the date and the timestamp, and the specific certificate ID and issuing party that issued this secure digital signature. In the back office Accella Civic platform, I can see similar information as well as an indication in the status of the file that it is ready for processing by the back office agency. So that is a simple presentation of the Accella Civic platform's digital signature process through the Accella Citizen Access web portal, powered by the ePermit Hub mobile application.
So the only reason I showed that right now, that's not actually released, and we know there's quite a bit from a workflow perspective in terms of how AEs have to sign digitally seal the documents. But I just kind of wanted to give you all an idea of some stuff we're working on, and the other reason we're excited about beginning to just get involved with CPC is a lot of was on a call a couple weeks ago on the CPC call and heard just kind of a lot of the frustrations and why the CPC exists, and a lot of those frustrations that are on the AEC side with PDFs as a electronic means of plans are also actually on the AHJ side. So we're interested in we know there's several progressive government agencies out there that are very keen on improving the electronic plan submission and review process, and we're hopeful to maybe get them kind of engaged because I think in the end, with whatever standards the CPC comes up with and attempts to promulgate, that government agencies have to be probably at the table for that discussion, and we're hopeful to maybe connect into the conversation several of those agencies at folks' request. And then the other thing we're excited about, in particular with ePermit Hub, or interested in the conversation about the guidelines, is specifically the technical standards around applying digital seals. So that's a little bit on Accella. So thanks, Nathan. It's kind of last minute. I hope that kind of covered what you're hoping, but certainly open to any questions.
Yeah, definitely. No, I thought that was a really good explanation, and I'm definitely curious, how us in the room can help you, as well as how what you're looking for from us, and then vice versa. So let's open up for any questions or thoughts that folks had.
You guys hear me on the other end of the line?
Open to questions.
Chris, can you guys hear me speaking?
Yeah.
I can now.
Okay, great. I'll say that I live and work in the state of Kentucky, and I've been on a few committees with the state discussing things like digital plan submission for Housing and Urban Development Department and state. Also on a committee with the AIA from a BIM advisor position, and I think part of what you all are doing, it certainly wraps in, not just you all specifically, but digital plan submission wraps in really nicely with where the CPC is going. Part of the digital plan submission committee suggestions that I've been sitting on and helping to perform and decide on is really, the first step is how should we submit or accept plans digitally? That's broken out between, I think, a lot of what you guys are taking care of. So both payment, signatures, et cetera, et cetera. There's a hodgepodge, I'll say, of different programs that they use to deal with that, at least here in this state. The state's using one thing, the counties are using another. cities are
Right.
using yet another, et cetera, et cetera. So I think something as simple. I think it sounds like what you all are doing is very much in line with CPC. Let's get everybody in one place and on board. The submission system that they're using now is actually owned and run by one of the print companies here in town. So they are the ones that are that are driving this process for our state. And unfortunately, they're driving the process, and it sounds like not really asking a whole lot of questions. It's definitely not the easiest way to do things.
By submission system, what are you defining? Is that something like a document delivery automation system, or is that a document signing system?
It's
Or they're-
mainly document submission at this end, and at some level for some jurisdictions payment as well. So I think we all see and feel that this could be a much more robust system, but it's so fragmented at this point in time that it does really waste a lot of time. That's the ultimate goal of these committees: is how can we save more time, save more money, and make this easier across the board for everybody.
Yeah, if I could just maybe comment real quick on that. Like, obviously, Accella is we're a software vendor, right? No different than any other software vendor. And much as we'd like to, win every client, that's not going to happen. So that, the market on the AHJ side in terms of permitting software or land management software, which includes the plan review and submission review process, it's fragmented and actually, many agencies are on custom systems or really old mainframe type things. So part of the reason that we're kind of intrigued by this is the government agencies there's a movement in government for data standards. There's even actually a general kind of umbrella name for it, open data. Open data itself is not a standard, but it describes emerging data standards that are government related. So I think that's part of what. There's a few other ones that we're involved in, but specifically here, what CPC is doing, we see it as necessary. I mean, there's going to be multiple vendors on, permitting software vendors. There always will be, and really, what needs to happen is there does need to be a standard around this, and we got to get some of these, I think, key AHJs involved. I will say there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in Florida in terms of the permitting agencies. So that's kind of an area that we're focusing on right now. With digital seals, they seem to be a little bit ahead of some other states in terms of defining standards right now. But I think what CPC is doing here is just great. It's just spot on. We just need to get, I think, some government involvement in it, because they'll see it. There's a movement already, as I mentioned, to start to create data standards within the government technology space.
This is Sasha from Bluebeam. Question for you, Drew, and others. We've been tossing around the idea of digital signatures for quite a long time, wondering from the CP Coalition, not the Bluebeam side, from the CP Coalition side of things, wondering how involved we get. And when we first originally talked about going down this path, it was really from a consultative approach, meaning actually meeting with cities and municipalities that members were working on live projects with, to ask them what their needs are, to understand the scope of what their needs are. And unfortunately, we just didn't have the bandwidth to do that. So as we have the opportunity to have well-incentivized partners come on board and help out, yay! I think it's good to look at what is the expectation from the CP Coalition. Are we looking for the group to create a standard as to this is the process you should use, which then drives to a specific technology? Or are we looking at following the spirit of everything else, which is from a data standpoint, here's a minimum requirement that you can customize based on your project, so that each city municipality has the flexibility to adhere to their own regulations and their own audit control departments.
Well, I think that's the only way, actually, which is the latter. I don't think in the government technology space, I'm not, y'all are all experts obviously in the AEC side, but in the government, in the AHJ side, we're not going to drive to a product standard. It needs to be a more kind of like what you were saying, the latter one.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go. It's actually the only. It's not just. It's the only effective way. You're not going to get everybody on the same technology.
Agreed. So from that standpoint, there is some research that the Bluebeam side of the business has done, currently providing a white paper for DOTs who have started to standardize on digital signatures. In Florida, you're right, Florida is definitely leading the charge. So we have a white paper that's coming out that could potentially be of value to then drive conversations moving forward. And on the city municipality side, we have a user group of cities and municipalities who like to share best practices or just get on the phone and share complaints and figure out solutions. So if any of those things will be assets that are valuable to this, in addition to Drew, what you guys have and the conversations you're having, we're happy to make that available too.
Yeah, and also, I'm glad you spoke up for Bluebeam. So this, what we're showing you here, this is not our core business. This is something that we're kind of adding based on, we're increasingly seeing these RFPs. We're very interested in more kind of industry standards, where if they're using Bluebeam for something or Project Docs, or there's like 5 or 6 plan review solutions out there, that whatever they're using is that it can support the standards that I think CPC is working towards.
Yeah. And I think from the end user standpoint, the comment that was made earlier from Kentucky is, please, for the love of God, make it easy to use. So if you can define guidelines that then push a framework for technology purchases to be made to, I think that would be achieving hopefully the end goal of what everybody wants.
I would say we don't forget to start too small. So in Kentucky, the first thing that we're dealing with is, can we just get digital submission?
Right.
I think digital submission would be a heck of a lot easier than getting digital signatures. From a civil engineering, civil design standpoint, we're beholden to the state agency in the United States as to what level of digital signatures are accepted and what software is accepted as practice. When you start taking that international, then you add another exponential layer of problem on top of the ability for your client or your contractor to accept digital signatures. Tackle digital delivery first.
So I actually have a question then on that. I know that there are some agencies that are allowing digital submission, but and they're doing it right now without, with not official digital sealed plans, which is problematic from an ordinance perspective. So I think that's been one of the challenges. So when you say start with submission first, I guess they're not necessarily entirely part and parcel, but well, actually they are. I mean,
not really. They're not part and parcel. You can have a digital delivery without an integrated digital signature, but your digital signature would have to be done by a third-party program such as Notarize or DocuSign, but it has to be accepted by whatever engineering board in that state has governance.
Yeah, I think we're saying, okay.
We're saying basically the same thing.
I think we are. I misunderstood you. Yeah,
you can't package it easily into a one-size-fits-all without getting buy-in from all 50 states.
Which won't happen, right?
That won't happen.
Which won't happen, right?
Well, you could make it happen by integrating all of these various things that are accepted into your core program, so you could choose to sign it with DocuSign, with Notarize, or with whatever other program they're accepting. But that in itself, such as Notarize, requires a notary republic to insert your name into the program. So there's other steps that kind of fall in it. It just becomes catastrophically difficult to be able to apply it to all situations. So if you focus on just digital delivery as a start, the ability to submit your plans in a core, easy and happy way, you might have a better result. And then you could follow it up with, well, we've got this digital signing software, it works great, it's legally binding, and here's how it works, and introduce that to your state agencies or your contractors, your clients, and see if you can get that registered as an approved method of submitting your documents.
And ultimately, does it even matter if it's easy to use? I think it sounds like what we're ultimately after is just the data being there in some sort of digital manner that's readable across all platforms. So whether that's your software, my software, or anybody else's for that matter, if the data is there somewhere and it's just in a digital format, and it's readable by various parties, so if that's some sort of open source type of data, again, regardless if that's a stamp or text in a document, right? It's essentially.
So this is Michael from ePermit Hub. So this is what interested in the first place on this topic with the CPC coalition. So it turns out that the PDF itself, PDF document, is a standard, ISO standard, right? And then the way in which you apply a digital signature to a PDF is also an ISO standard. So it doesn't really matter which software you use to apply a digital signature to the PDF. If the software applies it in the way that it complies with that standard, which is an international standard, then it should be accepted anywhere, right? And that's basically part of what we wanted. We were hoping to work on with CPC is to say, basically all you have to say is follow the standards of PDF, right? That PDF already has in there.
Yeah, from that standpoint, then it's just a matter of education and awareness, which is what half of the work that's been done in the last 4 years really has been.
The other part of that with the CPC initiatives is to create a standard for those state agencies or those national agencies, international agencies to look towards to say, oh yeah, I guess it is acceptable to use the ISO standard on these types of documents, instead of saying, well, we only accept notarias, you have to use that.
Right, exactly. So yeah, follow that international standard on the two.
Hopefully we didn't take it too far off track.
Well, I think it's important. This is the part of the guidelines that we've been talking about for a long time. But as you can tell, it's a little bit complex because it does dive into Drew's area, which is government, and we all know how fast government moves. So,
sorry, forgive me. Sorry.
No, go right ahead.
Yeah, let me give you a story, and this is why I think. Forgive me, I'm not sure who it was that said, a lot of this is about education, getting the word out. I think that's absolutely true. The city of Tampa is within our customer base, which is pretty big within permitting software, is one of the more progressive, very customer-focused agencies you'll find. And one of the things that they're doing, and this is where Ruben, when you were saying focus on submission first and sealing, well, that's what they did. And they right now feel like they're in a bit of a this limbo area because they have a lot of very big customers who are submitting plans electronically, and they're not digitally sealed. And they know that, right? And they're kind of letting them get away with it right now because they're still trying to understand how to just learn about digital sealing and how it works, right? On the paper side, you can't do that, right? They're not going to accept a paper plan set that's not been sealed with at least the wet seals. So I think this is where I do believe it's going to be helpful to engage some of these AHJs and get their perspective on the challenges they're facing. One, moving from paper to electronic, and then two, once they move to electronic, how do they make sure they're not putting themselves in a bit of a legal limbo? Because it's the electronic workflow is quite frankly very disjointed right now, and it works out on paper.
That's why I was saying you have to separate the two to get a good system, a standardization for submitting your electronic data first in order to have that base platform? Do we only accept PDF-As? Do we do the PDFs have to be locked? How is the PDF formulated? Are there layers in the PDF? Can layers in that PDF be actively manipulated? And then you bring in that digital seal, that digital signature, which will lock down the PDF so it can't be modified. But again, that digital seal or signature must be accepted by whatever agency is watching over that group of people. So I find it easier to require people to submit a medium first, and then come back to them and say, hey, you also need to make sure this thing is signed using law software. And then once they're used to doing that, once we can integrate law software into whatever we're using as our digital medium, we can then move forward with a standardization that hopefully can get integrated directly in Bluebeam.
And that's a great point. Maybe just to sort of bring this home of all of those points. I mean, I apologize if this was brought up earlier when I had to drop off the call, but we can go too far on the AHJ digital signature side, where we've seen seals from the city of Irvine that you can't even put markups on. You can't use them downstream as a contractor, and in a contractor's role, you go, well, wait, that's not fair. That doesn't make sense. That's inefficient for me. And I think, to me, that what I think we're all getting out of this, and going back to that education point, is that there are so many different variables to this, and it's all the different people that are impacted, and we all want something to change, but it's going to take this level of discussion. So I don't think we went too far off topic. I think this is exactly the context and the perspective that we all need to have to know what sort of a bear this is going to be, to at least educate those who can influence change. And so, Drew, thank you so much for sharing your insights, and I know we're going to be having a lot more conversation as we move forward, but I want to make sure we build in time to do a roll call, see who's here, make sure everybody gets sort of accounted for in the meeting notes. And I don't know if Jim or Brianna, who's running the computer, but you want to run through the roll call? Unless there's any final points. I didn't want to cut us off, but I want to make sure we get done in the hour.
Okay, so Alan, you want to go first? Okay. Chris.
Sorry, I was getting unmute. Alan Engel here, JLL.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, and then we have Cody's on the call today as well.
How's it going? Cody Nowak on the call.
Very nice. Drew?
Yeah, Drew's here. Yep.
All right, and we have, I got Ivan, myself, Brianna, Lillian.
Hello, everyone. Lillian with Bluebeam.
Yeah, and Lillian, this is your first call, so you want to sort of introduce yourself and a little bit of your background and what you do at Bluebeam?
Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, this is actually my first call, so I'm really excited. Lots of good information. Digital signatures, it's actually a topic that always comes up for me, especially when we talk with our customers, and there's always a big education factor that I always have to talk about, as far as like, what is it that you want? Is it electronic signature? Is it a digital signature? I always end up going into sort of educating, the differences and talking about the end goal. But this is a really good conversation. So what I do for Bluebeam is I'm a senior industry specialist, so I get the opportunity to engage with our customers and really talk about workflows and see where review can really lean out their current processes and procedures at the moment.
Very nice. Lon Smith. Okay. See if Lon undoes really quick. Raquel, you good?
Yeah, I'm here. Michael Martin from Ipermeho.
Okay. Mr. Nathan Wood. Good. How about Nick Tifford?
I'm here.
Hey. Ruben Stone.
Hey, Ruben Stone, T. Wyland International.
Very nice. And Sasha.
Hello, Sasha, VP Strategic Development for Bluebeam.
When do you take off for London?
I am actually heading out next Thursday for Paris, then Stockholm, then London for our 2 Extreme conferences. So this is my last week in the office.
Oh, very nice.
How do we get on that London trip?
Sign up to speak. I can get you there.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. I'm looking for a phone caller from 407.
That's me, Jim. It's Chris.
Oh, hey, okay. And then 626.
626 is me.
Oh, okay, perfect. So that completes the roll call. Nate.
And one last thing I forgot to announce is we did confirm the time for the BIM forum meeting, and we'll be sending an announcement later today through the LinkedIn group. But it will be noon till 2 o'clock on Wednesday, October 19th. So anybody who is planning on attending in Atlanta is welcome to join in person, or we'll also be setting up the Zoom meeting as well. My guess is we probably will not have a Friday call that week. We'll just replace it by a Wednesday at noon Eastern time. So just a heads up on that. But that was my only other update.
Perfect. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.